Buffalo After Dark is proud to recommend I Barbecue for You. Pre-orders are suggested by calling 716-880-7667. I Barbecue for You, Buffalo's new barbecue destination.
Just move the Coyotes. Don't do another expansion team.
Right? It would never crossed my mind. So somebody called the house when I was out mowing the grass.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Holy shit, your face is like purple.
Are you still up? Now in their fifth season, it's Buffalo After Dark.
Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is Wednesday night, January 22nd. We started a half hour late. Who gives a shit? But anyways, it's me and Hanson as usual. What's going on, man?
I am fantastic. How are you doing today, Tom?
Not bad. Not bad. Short week. It's always a good thing.
Oh, certainly. I mean, it's already gone by so quick already. I mean, with playoffs pretty much underway within the past couple of weeks, and then my wife, of all people, decides to leave me for a week to go to Massachusetts to see my sister-in-law because she's doing some helping with moving out and stuff like that.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah, it's always a good thing. But, that being said, got a lot to talk about tonight, and of course, one of the things is we are live, so we've got the YouTube and the Facebook up and running, so if you have any comments or want to talk about anything, feel free, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get everything started. So with that being said, the biggest news, obviously, of the week, the Bills were expected to lose to the Ravens, according to all the pundits out there, and the pundits were proven wrong.
It's such a funny story because it's like everybody was saying, "Oh, Lamar Jackson, he'll be the MVP. He's better than Josh Allen, etc." And all I've heard all week was how the Ravens were going to go to Orchard Park and they were going to just crush the Bills. And Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson were an unstoppable duo. I've heard it all. Ravens fans were acting like cocky dicks for the majority of the week. So I was just simply saying, okay, the whole week. I said, all right, let's do this. And sure enough, Sunday comes, and I think this game was talked about more than the freaking Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, it easily was. And, of course, if anyone missed it, the Bills did beat the Ravens 27-25, which means the Bills went 10-0 this season at home. If we count the regular season and the playoffs, obviously. But it was one of those things. Was it a flashy game? Hell no. It was one of those grind it out, do what you got to do, and survive, and that's exactly what happened. And here's the good part about it. Yes, Baltimore got on the board first. Isaiah Likely was found in the end zone. Okay, you're up 7-0. But then again, Josh Cook ends up finding the end zone. Josh Allen ends up going in for 2 touchdowns on his own, running it. And then Tyler Bass was actually on fire, and he had no issue hitting field goals. But when your QB is held to less than 150 yards passing, that's the kind of game it is. But the Bills had no turnovers. Lamar choked the ball up twice.
I felt like that game alone was like one of the most flawless games in terms of playing clean style football that I've seen from the Bills all season long.
Yeah, we had what, maybe 1 penalty or something? I mean, we hardly had any flags thrown on us.
I think that was what's really nice about that game was that they let the boys play, and I really deeply appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, even Baltimore didn't have too many flags thrown on them, so that at least is good. And a couple of penalties or a couple of plays where we think there could have been penalties, for example, like unnecessary roughness or shit like that, they just let him play. It's all good. Just let him go at it. And that's what we need to see more of. It is more of that old style grinded out football. And another part that was really impressive, especially the first half, the Bills defense contained Derrick Henry. He only had, I think he finished for 84 yards altogether?
Something like that. And he still ran for a rushing touchdown.
Yeah. So what does that tell you? He was contained. Lamar Jackson was contained. He only threw for maybe 150-ish, 160 or something, but even he didn't have that great of a game. And then when you look at, Zay Flowers being out, that was a huge blow to them. They had to rely on Isaiah Likely, but then there wasn't much he did in the second half. So when you look at their team altogether, and then Mark Andrews, of course, cost them the 2-point conversion to tie a game because basically he dropped the ball in the end zone.
Oh my God.
And he was getting death threats by the Baltimore fans right afterwards.
Yeah, it was really sad too, because it's like, I feel for Ravens fans. I truly do. So I think to me, this is their version of wide right, where it felt like the Ravens, because I think the expectations were through the roof this year, and a lot of people felt very differently about the Ravens this year, considering how good Lamar Jackson has been all year long. And then King Henry leaving Tennessee to go to the Ravens, I think really changed the tempo for a lot of teams, especially in the AFC North. But I do feel for the Ravens fans because they were like, oh, we have a chance to make a comeback in this game. And it's almost like to a point where they felt like they genuinely were going to win this game. And Mark Andrews comes out of nowhere, and he probably had a pack of Butterfingers before he went out on the field and literally dropped the game tying ball, which is nuts.
It is. It is. But when you look at how the Bills game planned, I mean, would I have liked to see some different adjustments in the second half? Yes. I would have liked to see us keep the foot on the throat a little bit more. But we didn't break. And that's the important thing. We were able to cover. We were able to contain Henry, although he had a better second half. But the bottom line is he couldn't get the run game going. And neither could anyone else on Baltimore for that matter. Even Lamar Jackson didn't have too many great runs.
No, but I think what Baltimore did was they adjusted, and that was something they desperately needed to do in the second half of the game. Like, they couldn't go anywhere in the first half, and the Bills had all the momentum in the world. And to be very honest with you, I genuinely was so nervous about the third quarter because the offense, they went 3 and out, twice?
Yeah.
Or one of them?
Yeah, and Baltimore didn't even have any punts.
No, they didn't. And that's really saying something. But at the same time, the Ravens did this to themselves. I mean, you had Mark Andrews, who caught one pass from Lamar, thinking, oh, great, here we go. He fumbles the ball at the 50-yard line or something like that, and Terrell Bernard recovers it.
Right. And Von Miller ends up punching the ball out once, so...
That's beneficial for the Bills, to say the least.
It was. So he did exactly what he needed to do. But the bottom line is, for all the Baltimore fans talking shit, well, guess what? You probably had the two most evenly matched teams in the playoffs go at it each other in that game. And literally, it was a pretty good bloodbath for everybody. And, I mean, at least in terms of the injury bracket right now, I mean, we have, 3 players on there, but we should be good for this week.
What, for the Bills?
Yeah.
Well, I did read the report, and they were saying that Matt Milano was a limited practice today with hamstring soreness, because the funny thing was about that injury was McDermott didn't have any idea about what the injury was. I mean, like, you're the coach. You should know who these players are. Like, he knows who they are, but it's more like you should know what occurred. You sent them out there. So, in a way, he was very ghosted about the whole situation with Milano because nothing really came out of it until like today, which is very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And then when you look at what's going to be coming up, I mean, overall, a great way to finish at home this year. But the next big test is going to be against the Chiefs. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But let's recap some of the other games also, because I actually did I was watching part of the game at Southern Tier Brewery Saturday night. And the Texans destroyed themselves, getting sacked 8 times, and they lost to the Chiefs 23-14. And I got to see at least a couple of those sacks on the 39-foot wide big screen at that place.
Honestly, I was filling in for somebody at work, and I saw bits and pieces of that game. So I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw enough of it to the point where I could say, yeah, this game feels like it was being rigged in favor of Kansas City with all the bullshit calls. And the thing is that I was having this conversation all week with all my buddies at work, and I said, if Kansas City, by some reason, or for any matter in this case, because they're in the conference championship same way as the Bills are, if they somehow go back to the Super Bowl and they play the Eagles again, I'm willing to bet you that's going to be one of the worst rated games in the 2020s. I'll be certain of that because nobody wants to see these two teams again. We already saw this matchup. It's
Yeah.
bad enough that we already saw the Chiefs play the 49ers twice in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And bad enough, we've already seen the Eagles recently in the Super Bowl too. So it's just one of those things. Nobody wants to see them. And then thinking about it, the Texans and the Chiefs game. How about that 15-yard personal foul penalty? And Mahomes wasn't even hit.
Yeah, and the one thing too is that I was having this conversation with Britt earlier. The arrogance and the cockiness from Chiefs fans is getting so ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
It's getting really fucking ridiculous because it's like, yes, we hate the Patriots and we'll always hate the Patriots, and yeah, we'll hate them for Deflategate and Spygate and all that. But I can tell you one thing: even though they were treated very lightly, but then by the officiating, they were never treated the way they are. The Chiefs are right now.
Oh
never.
God, yeah. The Chiefs are like the golden boy of special treatment. It's like, oh, it's like I got two players that barely were like 5 feet from me. It's like that's a 15-yard penalty. It's like fuck you, Mahomes.
Yeah, really.
It's like seriously, you're the biggest fucking crybaby out of like any QB, and even more so than Brady, and that's saying something. At least Brady could take a big ass hit in his first couple years.
You know what's really interesting too is the comments that Mahomes said earlier today. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
My God, it's so hypocritical with how he says it, and honestly, I truly believe that this is bulletin board material. This is the quote. He said, "I don't feel that way. I just try to play football at the end of the day, and the referees are doing their best to call the games as fair and as proper as they can."
Yeah, how much did you pay off the refs, Mahomes?
Yeah, and this is basically him saying that the refs are not favoring him and they're fair. Listen to me.
Oh yeah.
If
They
you
favor
are
him.
if you're the golden boy of the National Football League, the big money maker, right? And you have to go out to the media and tell everybody that, oh, we get treated fairly like everybody else. You are a fucking liar.
Yeah.
And you know damn well. So basically, with him running his mouth and saying, oh, we get treated fairly.
Yeah. He just
that pretty
admitted
much said-
admitted they rig it.
yeah, you just admitted it that yes, we do get coddled.
Exactly. And here's the thing, and actually here's a hint that I will tell you to take a look at on YouTube because it is on there. Look up, like if you ever get a chance to watch Tom Brady when Nate Clements was part of the Bills, and this
I've
was
seen
like
that.
in the early years. Remember how he got his bell rung so bad and he just got right back up and got back in the huddle?
Yeah, Mahomes would never be able to handle that.
No, he'd be like, oh, my toenail is like half ripped off. It's like, oh, it's like I got punched in the vagina. It's like, shut up, Mahomes.
Like, he's a gifted athlete and all that, and he makes the NFL a lot of money.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like the Chiefs need a piece of humble pie because
Exactly.
their arrogance and their egos on that team is driving people away from watching football because that's how
Exactly.
much of an annoying dick they've become.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the Patriots were like this, but they were not as cocky as the Chiefs.
Right. And then, of course, you got good old Taylor Swift talking to our freaking refs.
I believe she has minority ownership of the team.
Yeah, there you go. That's another conflict of interest.
I
If that is the
seriously-
case.
Like, what is the NFL's obsession with the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, yeah, they were a newer team to win the Super Bowl for the first. Like, when they won the
Right.
when they won that first Super Bowl before the COVID
It's
pandemic,
like, okay, they won it. That's
you
nice.
know, it was like, okay, cool. You won the Super Bowl. We're happy for you. Move on, whatever.
Right.
Second year against the Buccaneers. That was when the Bills played them the first time in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, the Bills lose to the Chiefs. We're butthurt about it.
Right.
Then they go back to the Super Bowl and they lose. Okay, Kansas City may not be as immortal as people say.
Right.
Then they go back to the AFC Championship game again, year number 3, and they lose by a field goal to the Bengals, which is the 1 year that the Chiefs were not in the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
we at least got a fair
Yeah.
game out
And
of
the
that.
Bengals got destroyed, so there you go.
Yep. And then year 4, Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs play the Eagles. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is going to be interesting. Because I was really rooting hard for Philly at that time.
Yeah.
So that's year number 4, I believe that was, for the Chiefs. So
Right.
year number 5, going back to last year, or no. Super Bowl 56 was Rams and Bengals. 57. 58 was. Who was in Super Bowl 58? Oh my God! How do I not know this? Was it Oh no! It was Was it Kansas City?
Well, Kansas City. Well, yeah, Kansas City was in it. They won it, and that was when they played in Vegas, and that was when they played the 49ers.
That's right. And then this year is 59.
Yeah.
Why did I feel like I was trying to figure out like why am I not counting this right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think for the contrast though, like it's getting ridiculous because I just counted 7 straight years the Chiefs have been to the conference finals. And it's gone to the point where somebody else has to take them out because
Right.
it's driving it's literally like it's so bad, Tom, that Marlon Humphrey, okay? Marlon Humphrey on the Baltimore Ravens, who just lost to the Bills on Sunday, is telling you, please knock the Chiefs out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants them there.
Hell, even Lamar Jackson told that to Josh Allen. It's like, beat the Chiefs.
I think he will, honestly. I think they could do it. I truly believe that.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the regular season, who was the only team in the regular season with all the starters going to beat the Chiefs? And that was the Bills. I don't even give Denver the victory on that one because they played like third and fourth string players.
And Carson Wentz was the starter.
Exactly. But when Mahomes was in there and when he had all the first team people, they lost legitimately to the Bills.
Yeah, that's literally how people feel. And Chiefs fans are now coming out and saying, oh, you beat us in the regular season. And here's the fucking thing I hate about Chiefs fans. They act like they have a chip on their shoulder. Like, bitch, you won the fucking Super Bowl 2 years in a row.
Right.
Like, and it's bad enough you won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the NFL is like everyone's saying, oh, we need the three-peat.
No. Nobody wants to see a 3P. The only people who want to see a 3P is the NFL, the bandwagon Chiefs fans, and Taylor Swift's endorsement. That's the only people, anybody like you and me for this case, we don't want them to be back there. Nobody want. Like, I remember people used to say that about the Bills when they went 4 straight years in the Super Bowl. Nobody wants this shit. People want different teams because that's how you keep the ideas and material fresh.
Right.
Because at least a few years ago, when it was the Bengals and the Rams, at least we got a decently good Super Bowl without Mahomes there one year.
Exactly. And it keeps the interest going because if you have different teams in there every year, then it's unpredictable. You don't know exactly who's going to win it. I mean, and that's one of the great things about it. So,
yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at that. But it's like, no, we do not want a three-peat whatsoever. Nobody does. Legitimate football fans do not want that.
Yeah. It's like in the NBA, as I look back on it, the NBA had this problem about a decade ago, where LeBron was in the finals every year within every team he played for, and it was like Warriors versus Cavs for like 3 straight years, 4 straight years in a row, and then it was like the Miami Heat for 4 years straight or something like that.
Yeah, I remember like in basketball, you had the Chicago Bulls that won all those titles in that short time.
Yeah, and the one gap without them there was the New York Knicks, and they couldn't win it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's one of those, you need to get different teams in there. And here's the thing, the Bills, like typically when the Bills have played Kansas City, okay, the defense screwed up the one time with 13 seconds. Tyler Bass misses a field goal, so that's the second screw up. I don't see them losing again to them in the playoffs. I just don't see it happening. And I think the Bills have finally figured out some ways to contain Mahomes, to contain Kelsey, to contain Pacheco. Those are going to be your 3 key things that you have to look at. And especially if you can contain Mahomes and keep him limited and you can limit what Kelsey can do, I mean, right there, like we did in that first game against the Chiefs in the regular season, that actually helped out a lot because we were able to, of course, go through and win it by a couple scores. But at the same time, you can't let your guard down on KC because their defense can play very well. And even though they don't have a great wide receiver core, they can still use them effectively.
Okay, so here's how we look at it. they're about to play each other for the fourth time in 5 years. So at this point in time, I think all the fans and the team and the coaching staff have all reflected within those last few years. The first year against Kansas City in 2020 during the pandemic, it was like, okay, the Bills, they had a great run, whatever. Chiefs, they won the Super Bowl year prior. They're going back they're playing the Bucks in the Super Bowl. So if that Super Bowl happened, I remember when the Bills lost, I was upset when they lost, but I wasn't crying like agony because it's like, well, that was a very good future for the Bills, and their season was starting to get very bright, and it worked out perfectly in a way. So I said, okay, that's fine, whatever. If you want to lose, then so be it. And then the second year, they basically went into overtime, and there was a back and forth game, game.
Yeah.
So and it went to overtime, and they got screwed over by the refs because of not
Yeah,
the refs,
the
but they
OT
got screwed.
rules.
Yeah, because of the overtime rules, the NFL had to change the rules, and there was no way around that whatsoever.
hmm
So, and then last year, because it was like third time's the charm, it was in Buffalo. The only reason why the Bills even lost to begin with was because Stephon Diggs was acting like a whiny, arrogant, cock-sucking bitch in the midway point. He's made it me, all about me.
Right.
And he pouted and whined and pouted and whined and cried because he didn't get the ball. He demanded it. And then Allen, under pressure, threw the ball to Diggs.
Yeah.
And what does Diggs do? He dropped it.
Exactly.
And I will still say this to this day. If Stephon Diggs caught that pass, the Bills would no doubt would have won that game.
Exactly. And what happened? Karma's a bitch because, let's see, Diggs got sent packing. He's now on the Houston Texans, or may not be after this season. But he got sent to Houston, and what happens? He blows his ACL.
Oh, well.
Karma's a bitch.
But the thing is that, like, Diggs was a great receiver for the Bills, but his time was up. He didn't want to be there anymore.
Right, exactly. And how much do you want to bet, in just speculation, how much do you want to bet Josh Allen forced him out?
It wouldn't shock me at all because I think because if it weren't for Allen, I don't think the Bills would be getting rid of him at this point. He would still be playing by his contract. But I just think it's crazy to me to think, at least to say, that, for a guy like him to be performing at this level and then having an elite quarterback like Josh Allen on your side, because you go from what, Kirk Cousins to Josh Allen and then C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't wrap my head around that. The fact that he was so good for the Bills for all those years because he was an essential talent, but his arrogance got in the way of basically the cornerstone of what the Bills are now. And if you compare the last three playoff games with Stephon Diggs in the helm, he did nothing in the playoffs.
Exactly.
In all three of those games.
Exactly. So, yeah, the diva is what we call him.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you fast forward to now, the Bills have no egos on that team.
Exactly. And you know what? They're playing better as a team. And they have improved a lot this season when everyone was like, oh, you're going to finish third behind the Jets and the Dolphins. It's like, want to rethink that?
Well, I just think it's funny because, which you bring up a good point, how everybody predicted the Bills to finish third in the division, and it doesn't even get anywhere close to that.
Yeah,
And
they steamrolled the division.
Yeah, quite frankly. And I think it's interesting to think that my favorite aspect about the Bills this year, as far as the team, is their offense is unpredictable. Because if you look at Philadelphia, if you look at Kansas City, if you look at Washington, they all have that star player where they could say, oh, we have to double cover Terry McLaurin. Oh, we have to double team Saquon Barkley or
Right.
AJ Green. Oh, we have to cover triple man coverage on Travis Kelce or Isaiah Pacheco.
Exactly.
Like, the Bills have good players on their team. Like, any other team, I'm almost certain of this, by the way, is if you look at the offense, you have Mac Hollins, Amari Cooper, who's your number one, who's not really being used, but I have a feeling he's going to be used on Sunday.
Right.
have
He's
Dalton-
going to get some touches, probably.
Probably. And then you have Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and then you have James Cook, and then who else? Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
They-
you have Ray
they have-
Davis. You have Ty Johnson.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is the Bills don't have that flashy, sexy number one wide receiver, but rather they have a couple of people filling in roles. Because Mac Hollins was supposed to be a placeholder until the Bills got another receiver to replace Gabe Davis,
Yeah,
and
I would
instead,
keep him, sign him, extend him.
yeah. And you know what? Mac Hollins brings a lot of character into the room.
Yeah, and he doesn't give two fucks what people think about him, and that's the thing I love about him. He just goes in there and does his job.
Yeah, they call him the Barefoot Man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he doesn't care, rain, sleet, snow, whatever. It's like, and then of course, let's see, what costume will he show up for in Kansas City? Who knows? But gotta love. I mean, let's see. He had the Flintstone costume. He ended up doing. It's like it's a sunny day out there. Wear sunscreen because he ended up wearing the Bill Zuba's bathing suit.
More recently, he was wearing like he was going on vacation in Hawaii or something with a
Yeah.
bathing suit and
Yeah,
a
that was
Hawaiian
this past
shirt.
week. Yep, that was this past week. Then of course he had the Doctor Spock outfit, and then he had like the bear outfit and different things, and he's just himself. I love that about him.
I just found it funny when they first brought him in from the Falcons as a free agent. I remember telling Briggs we were coming home from Miami at the time from our cruise trip, and free agency just started that day. And on my way home from the flight, I see the Bills when I had Wi-Fi. I saw that the Bills got Matt Collins on the plane, and I said, okay, so Matt Collins is a Bill. It's a 1 year deal, rental player, whatever.
Hmm.
But I think he's really growing to the system, and I like that about him. Is I
Yeah.
was not crazy about him in the first 5 weeks of the season,
Hmm.
and then after the Texans game, he just went off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at this point he definitely has a home on this offense.
He certainly does, and that's what I like about Matt Collins. He's not a flashy number one wide receiver, but he's a receiver that can make plays.
Exactly. And you can use him on special teams. And remember how he ended up destroying Mims in the Denver game with 0 yards on that punt return?
Yeah, and he
Hit
got
of
penalized
that,
for taunting.
yeah, hit of the year right there. And then Mims got
Basically.
penalized, which offset everything. So there you go.
Basically, I don't know. I just find it funny to me how everything has come full circle for Matt Collins, and I think he at least deserves like a 2 year contract, a 3 year contract with the Bills.
Yeah, I would definitely give him one. So I mean, it'd be ill. So he's another standout this year, and then of course Ray Davis. We all know his story, and he's just one of those. He's just gonna run it down your throat players, which is a great thing. So it's
Oh
just
yeah,
they're playing much more like a team, like an actual true team that's not something we've seen in a long time here. So it's really nice to see that. But how about well, and we'll talk about this one last actually, but the next game I wanted to talk about Rams versus Eagles, and the Eagles survive. But how about Saquon Barkley running for over 200 yards?
Saquon Barkley to me is the bright spot on the Eagles, but in terms of the entire team, I felt the Eagles. I genuinely believe this. I genuinely thought the Eagles were gonna blow it.
That I legitimately thought the same, and I thought that the Rams had enough in them that they could have easily come back and won it.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the Commanders win on Sunday. Just solely because they're a division rival.
Yeah.
Jay Daniels is on a tear. How the fuck do you have a rookie quarterback go into Detroit and beat them?
Yeah, and that was the upset of the weekend. The Commanders go into Detroit's house and they beat them 45-31.
That is really damn impressive.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels went off, but McLaurin had a great game too.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was saying earlier is that Scary Terry is having a great season, and I wouldn't be surprised if the commies go out and get another legit receiver for Jake Daniels. And it's not to take away from everybody else because Washington is getting up there now with Jake Daniels. I mean, did you really, if you told me in the beginning of the year that the Commanders were making the conference finals, I would have laughed at you just because of how
Yeah,
stupid that
I
sounds.
wouldn't have thought that either. I would have thought maybe like a 9-8 season or something like that. But like to think that they got this far this quickly and Jaden Daniels helped turn that team around in year one, man, that is impressive.
I actually read a stat and I didn't know this until like yesterday. And the stat is this: if the Commanders win on Sunday, Jayden Daniels could become the first ever rookie quarterback to ever reach the Super Bowl.
Ooh. Good for him if he does.
I would love to see a Washington Buffalo Super Bowl, but
Yeah,
I think-
rematch of the one that we lost
God,
all
yeah.
those years ago.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it was Buffalo Philly, but I also wouldn't be shocked if it was Buffalo Washington.
Right. I'd almost want to see Buffalo Washington just because of that matchup.
Well, yeah, Josh Allen, Jayden Daniels, Scary Terry, James Cook. I mean,
Yeah.
they got some damn good
Amari
ball players.
Cooper. Yeah.
They're very good defensively.
Yeah, they are. And kudos to Washington, man. You figured out the Lions.
Oh yeah, big time. But I also think Detroit, I felt like was due to pay their dues with all the injuries they had to suffer, because all season long we've heard their stupid fucking WWE persona about how they're the best team in the world and never won shit. And yet they boast about how they were going to be the Super Bowl champions this year and things like that. It's like, bitch, you still have to play games in the playoffs to be in that category. So in a way, the NFC North had 3 teams this year in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they all got smoked.
And all of them got bitch slapped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Minnesota being first, Green Bay right after, and then Detroit after that.
What the hell?
Yeah. But then again, I mean, if you're Detroit and you're down 19 starters, then there you go. But still, you got to compete.
Oh yeah, it's also a bad week for to be a Lions fan as well, especially what's been happening to them the last couple of days.
Oh, yeah. Ben Johnson is no longer there. He is now the head coach of the Bears. And Aaron Glenn is no longer there because he decided to put up with Woody Johnson's shit and join the Jets as their head coach.
Oh my god.
And they lost the coordinator to the Patriots.
Yeah, Terrell Williams, the defensive line coach for the Detroit Lions, is now the defensive coordinator for the Patriots. So I think it's important to talk about this because Detroit had such a great year, but a lot of people speculated that Ben Johnson intentionally threw the game away on purpose on Saturday because he was prepared to take the Chicago job.
I hope that's not the case.
I don't know, but you could tell with
That
the
offense
swing-
was different.
Yeah, I looked at that game and I said, isn't Ben Johnson supposed to be some offensive mastermind?
Yeah, and literally, what we get? A vanilla offense.
Quite literally. And don't even get me started with Jared Goff. That dude had, what, 5 turnovers?
Yeah, and you ain't going to win with 5 turnovers.
Most valuable lesson I learned this year in the playoffs, even if it's 1 turnover, you want to have a turnover-free game in the playoffs, no matter who
Exactly.
you are.
Exactly. Turnovers will kill you.
In this, especially in this stage, especially with where the Detroit Lions are, it is beyond, and I'm genuinely serious about this. It is beyond unacceptable if you're Detroit, because
Yeah.
you had this all-star caliber team. You had Sonic and Knuckles. Everybody looked at you like you were America's love child. You were bound to win the Super Bowl this year if you just got by Washington, and you fucking blew it. And now both your coordinators are gone.
Yep.
And it doesn't. And, oh no, the pain doesn't stop there. They're gonna lose a majority of the free agents, including Carlton Davis.
Oh, yeah.
This
So-
is not a good look for Detroit.
It's not. And this was their year to actually get stuff done. And they didn't.
The best season they've ever had, and this is what they get:
Yep.
pure agony and pain, only to lose to a fucking rookie quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, if it was Barstool Sports, they would have basically a player with the word ass on them, as we saw on several occasions.
You know what's funny too? Who did you say you wanted to go to the Super Bowl this year? As far as your prediction, do you remember?
I wanted it to be Buffalo and the Lions.
Yeah, and you said Buffalo would win that one.
Right.
And I said the same thing, but Detroit would win it. So we're both wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Except we still have Buffalo in the mix of things, so
Well, listen, if they get by Kansas City, I'm saying this now. If they beat the Chiefs on Sunday, and I genuinely believe this, I think they do it. I think they can beat the Chiefs. But if they beat the Chiefs on Sunday, I am 95% sure they're going to win the Super Bowl.
right. And I would want Washington over Philly in the Super Bowl. I would want to take that matchup. But Philly's got a lot of issues right now. And
They
yes,
do.
they have to contain Saquon Barkley, but Jalen Hurts didn't really do shit in the playoffs so far. So when you look at him and when you look at their line altogether and the fact that they're not using wide receivers or tight ends as effectively as they would want, I mean, yes, you have the game plan for it, but at the same time, if you contain Barkley and you contain Hurts, that's 95% of the offense.
It's really more about containing Barkley than it is about containing Hurts, because Jalen Hurts, I could tell you right off the bat, that dude's playing hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the only reason why the Eagles are in this situation to begin with is because the Lions decided to choke on their own shit, and it's not necessarily because of Sirianni. Sirianni has good talent around him because
Yeah,
Howie
he
Roseman
does.
gave it to him. Because if the Eagles were so good, they wouldn't be choking on their own shit every year, ever since they lost the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and I mean, and they're not as good as what a lot of people think they are. But at the same time, Washington, yes, they have some good weapons, but I still think, to an extent, they're not as complete as what they would want to be yet. They still have to build around Jalen Hurts. So, they have to build. No, not Jalen Hurts, but you know where.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. That's where they need to build around a little bit further. So, right, and Philly still does need to build around Hurts, but
Yeah. So, in a way, I think even if Washington loses, they have nothing to be ashamed of.
exactly, they had a hell of a good season, and they outperformed everybody's expectations.
They were easily the biggest surprise of the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be very interesting as we go into Sunday here, and of course, Bills and Chiefs are the primetime game at 6:30.
Oh, yeah. And again, like I said for the billionth time, I think the Bills could do it. I think they have enough film from their past mistakes to learn what they could and couldn't do. And Josh Allen is not as reckless as he used to be within those first three playoff games.
Yeah, he has gotten smarter with how to handle the ball, and he knows to get rid of it if he needs to get rid of it at this point. He's not having to play hero ball, unlike when Ken Dorsey was the offensive coordinator and fucking everything up for everybody.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, Mahomes has to play more hero ball this year than Allen.
Yes,
and
he
that's
does.
scary. Patrick Mahomes has almost no weapons outside of Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, and what's that guy's name? This is kind of what I mean.
Right. Well, look at Worthy. He was at negative yardage in last week's game.
That's not good.
No.
And it was against, and then
he's
Houston.
And he's a speed demon.
Yeah, I don't know. I listen. No disrespect to the Chiefs; they're a very good team on paper, but it's like, at some point, somebody has to take them out.
Right.
And
exactly.
And Buffalo is the NFL's last hope.
Yeah. Every single fan base except for the Chiefs is hoping for the Bills to win. Or maybe that dumbass Tyler Tarabochia, that fucking cocksucking bitch.
You have a grudge with him already.
I do. It's like, first off, it's like, what the hell does a grown man have LED lighting in his bedroom for? And then he's like on drugs probably because he's like, if the Bills lose, it's like, oh, happy. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. You're a loser. And then on top of it, for him to think, oh, the Dolphins are going to beat the Ravens in the playoffs. Shut up, bitch. Your Dolphins couldn't do shit, and 2 was 0-5. So there you go.
Wait.
Yeah. And he's literally going to die on the field at some point. But then on top of it, he also needs to understand that Mike McDaniels is probably on drugs, and we've seen his press conferences before, and he looks like he's been on a bender. And then on top of it, Dolphins, you're not good enough. And the Bills have broke your ass every single year for how many years now? And I think out of like the last 7 games, we've lost maybe 2 of them.
At minimum. But to me, I don't think that really entirely matters because I think what matters is the Bills are much better than the Dolphins this year. They're much better than people expected. But the fact that the Buffalo Bills are in the AFC Championship game for the second time in 4 years or 5 years in this case, it's actually, refreshing to see because people were hoping for Cincinnati to repeat what they did a couple of years ago, and they decided to play dumbass or dipshit of a role because Jermaine Grant, or whatever his name, Jermaine Pratt for the Bengals, decided to push Mahomes from behind and cause a 15-yard penalty and cause this game to lose. So I feel like that at that point, if the Bills could just keep their discipline in check, and they've done a pretty decent job with that, actually, they've been doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think this is, to me, the most disciplined version of the Buffalo Bills I've seen in the last years since
Exactly.
McDermott has took over.
Exactly. And now he's in his 8th season. And here's his current stats all the way through last week. So, regular season, 86-45. So, he's got a 656 winning percentage. Postseason, he's now over 500. He's 7-6. So, career altogether, when you count the regular season and the postseason, he's 93-51. So, he's got a 646 winning percentage. That is good for a first-time head coach.
Well, yeah, and you also have a generational talent in Josh Allen. And I feel like Josh Allen is at the stage of his career where he's not old. He's far from old. But what I'm saying is that the team as a whole right now have the best chance to knock out Kansas
They
City.
do.
People said last year when Diggs was there that this was Buffalo's best shot and it was declining. The window was closing. That's not what happened. And then it
Yep.
turned out to be the complete opposite of it. So I think realistically, in my humble opinion, I feel like the Bills now have the tools to have Kansas City guess. And that's what I like about this year's team, is they
Yeah.
don't have a rolling superstar on their offense. Like, yeah, you have James Cook, you have Dawson Knox, a Dalton Kidd, a rookie wide receiver, Keon Coleman, and all that. But everybody else has to secondhand guess, whether it was Denver, whether it was Baltimore. Everybody had to secondhand guess who Allen was throwing the ball to.
Yeah, exactly. And now, with the fact that our offense is very unpredictable and it can't be schemed against very effectively, that's a great thing. So I look at it in the sense, McDermott, great start so far. He's out of eight seasons, he's only missed the playoffs once. So
Which is not bad.
yeah, exactly. And that was in his second season. So now the expectation is you're going to the playoffs every year.
That's usually the expectation at this point.
Exactly.
But I am telling you right now, and I've already told my supervisor this at my job, that if the Bills make the Super Bowl and they win it, I am taking an emergency flight up to Buffalo and I'm going to the parade.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, man.
wanna go with me?
I would take time off for that.
Big
So,
time.
Yeah, 100%. So
Big time.
So it is a great thing altogether. But yeah, I was gonna say, since we're almost an hour in, let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing with the hockey world. And obviously, well, the Sabres are shit right now, but they did get a win in Vancouver last night, 3-2. And Kulik, Peterka, and Thompson ended up getting the goals. But I was gonna say, I know how bad we are in the standings right now.
Really fucking bad.
Yeah, 30th place. 18, 24, and 5. And we have a minus 16 goal differential, which is not the worst. That goes to Rob Jesus' honorary favorite team, the San Jose Sharks, 14, 30, and 6, with a minus 52 goal differential. And they're on a 4-game losing streak.
The Sabres are a joke. Like, I can't
are.
comprehend that at all. Like, they're such a goddamn joke. Like, nowadays, I feel like I have no urgency to watch the Sabres anymore because it's like the team has literally broke my spirit to the point I'm like, oh, the Sabres are playing? Cool, I'll just watch the highlights when I get home. It's never, oh boy, I can't wait to watch the Sabres when I get home from work, or oh boy, I can't wait to watch them when I go to the games. Because no one cares. Because Kevin Adams acts like everything is fine, and Pagula acts like everything is fine. Lindy's probably going to resign instead of getting fired. I think he's going to show himself out the door. And Adams, I'm 95% sure at this point, is getting fired. He's too incompetent, and they're not going
Yeah.
to do anything about it.
Exactly. It's just status quo, and Terry doesn't give a shit until after football season, and that's one thing that fans should know at this point. It's like, literally, if you don't care about the team, sell the team, obviously. But if you're going to keep the team, get rid of Adams already.
Yeah, really. And I told you earlier this year around Christmas time that I was going to go to the Islander Sabres game on the 23rd of December, and I
Yeah.
protested because of how fucking horrible they were.
And then we
The
blow
one-
them out.
The one game I missed, the Sabres blow them out,
Yeah.
which makes no goddamn sense.
Right.
Like, I can't even wrap my head around that at all.
No.
And the fact is that this team still is lazy. They don't want to try. It's like they don't want to reprove. And rumors are starting to come in from left and right. And I honestly don't blame them. If they have to trade Bowen Byram just because he wants out, I don't blame him. I would leave that shithole in an instant.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I caught bits and pieces of the game last night, but is it something I'm going to make like a super big effort to consistently watch all the time? No, if they keep putting a shit product on the ice, obviously I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, quite
I
literally.
mean, there are things I will follow, obviously, for our show, but
It's like you can't even keep up with it. And there was rumors about Elias Pettersson. I doubt that's going to happen at this point.
yeah, it
There
probably
was
won't.
rumors about Dylan Cousins. It might happen, but I don't think so.
Yeah, only time will tell. But, you know what? Let's go on to some better news with hockey, though. The Ovechkin goal scoring race is underway still. And as of right now, he's at 874, so he's only 20 away from hitting Gretzky's record.
He could definitely do it.
Yeah. And he was out for 5 weeks with a broken fibula, and look at how much he's come back already.
Yeah, and you know what? If he does, I think, personally, I think if Ovi could score 2 goals per night moving forward, because it's what, January 22nd?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, January 22nd, as of this recording. If he scores 2 goals per night and keeps his body intact, because that record does not count in the playoffs, unfortunately. It's only
Right.
regular season. But if he can score 2 goals per game at that point and the Caps are winning, I could definitely see him breaking this record. If
Yeah.
it's not this year, it's definitely early next year that
Right.
he'll break the record.
Even if he has like 1 goal a game, the rest of the way out, I mean, he can still technically touch the record before the playoffs.
I mean, it's very possible, but
Yeah.
again, Ovi's going to have to really put in the effort to make that happen. And
Mhm.
I assure you it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at this stage of his career, Ovi is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no matter what people say about him.
Yeah, 100%. And he's been scoring at least 1 goal per game ever since he came back. So that's a good thing. And actually, the thing that really helped him when he played Vegas on November 17th, and he had a hat trick in that game. And then he followed it up with 2 goals the night after. Even before the Vegas game where he had the hat trick, he had 2 goals the night before that, goal the night before that, goal the night before that. He had 1 the night before that. I mean, he's hitting at least 1 per game, if not 2 per game. So he's got to stay consistent with that. And as long as he does, he's touching that record probably by the end of this season.
Well, yeah, again, it's very possible for him to reach it because right now that dude's got 31 games played because of that injured broken leg. And then he had 21 goals, 12 assists, 33 points, and he's a plus 15. And you're
Yeah.
correct. He needs 21 goals to break this record. So, again, if he scores multiple goals per game from now to April,
Yeah,
he's
makes it
got-
even easier. He's in good shape.
Oh, yeah. And I think even if. But do you think, though, if he were to break the record this year, do you think he retires after this year, or do you think he keeps going?
I think he's still got some seasons left in him.
I mean.
I think he could still legitimately go another couple seasons, maybe.
I think so too, but it only comes down to like how he trains his body and like how he contains it and how he trains
Yeah.
it, how he takes care of it and all that stuff.
Yeah, and generally, he's been pretty good. I mean, he's been durable over his career. He hasn't had a lot of significant injuries, which is a good thing. So, as long as he stays in good shape and as long as he, keeps in a good game shape, I mean, he could probably get another couple seasons. Now, Crosby would be the person that I would say retires before Ovi does, just because of the fact that Crosby has that concussion history and he has more of an injury history. So I would say Crosby would probably break down first. Ovechkin, on the other hand, probably here's a hot take I'll throw out there. He may have as many as 5 more seasons
Ovi,
if he stays in great shape.
I don't think he sees for 5 more years. I think realistically, I think I could see him playing up to at least 1, maybe 2 more seasons. Because you have to remember something, Tom. He's turning 40 in September.
Right. But then I also think about it on the other hand too. I mean, look at Yager, how he played into his mid-40s.
Yeah, but Yager's time frame was so different because here's the thing you have to understand. With Yager, if he did not leave to go to the KHL after 07, 06, 07 with the Rangers,
Mhm.
he left the NHL for like 3 or 4 years. He came back as a free agent, went to the Flyers. If he stayed in the NHL within that 3 or 4 year span when he left, he would definitely would be in the top 5, if not top 3 all time. Not Ovechkin.
But No, I'm just thinking he could definitely get multiple seasons out of him. It's just how well does he train? And I think he trains better than a lot of the players.
Oh yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So we'll see, but he's definitely on pace. And just think about it. In the top 10 for career goals, I mean, obviously everyone knows Wayne Gretzky's at 894. So that's where he is. Ovi's got 874 right now. Gordie Howe, 801. Yager, 766. Brett Hall, 741. So there's your top 5. Then, if you go into the 6 through 10, you have Marcel Dion with 731. Phil Esposito with 717. Mike Gartner with 708. Mark Messier with 694. And Steve Yzerman with 692. And there's your top 10.
I mean, that's pretty damn good on paper.
Yeah. It really, really is. But I can guarantee you, by the time Ovechkin's career is done, he will be the number 1 in all-time goal scoring.
He might be the only player ever to reach 1,000 goals.
That is scary if he hits that mark.
Because what is it, 894 to tie it and 895 to break it?
Yeah.
If he breaks it to 1,000, which I don't see it happening. I mean,
He'll easily get into the 900s.
Definitely. But he could definitely do it. But I don't know if he will reach 1,000. Definitely 900. But I'm not sure. I think if we're talking 20 years down the line of who I think could break the record, my honest opinion, Connor McDavid. Maybe actually, no, I take that back. Austin Matthews.
Okay. That very well could legitimately happen.
Like, that's how I look at it. Austin Matthews could literally catch up to Ovi and the great one after that. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, because if Matthews continues to train his body like Ovechkin is now, because how many goals in his career does Matthews have right now? Do you know?
So number of goals he is right now, I mean, he's at 387. And just think about it. He first started in 2019-2020. So this is what he has. 47 goals in his first season. 37 or actually, yeah. Wait a minute. Let me go back a little bit. His first season, okay, 2017-2018, 34 goals. 2018-2019, he had 37 goals. 2019-2020, 47 goals. Then, of course, they don't have 2020-2021. So I want to look up the stat and just make sure that it is where it is. But 2022-2023, 40 goals. 2023-24, 69.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, that is nuts.
Tell me about it.
So, yeah, and actually even taking a look at everything, 2021-22, he had 60 goals. So basically and actually going back to 2016, he had 40. So season 1, 40 goals. Season 2, 34. 37 in season 3. 47 in season 4. 41 in season 5. 60 in season 6. 40 in season 7. 69 last year. And he's got 19 already this year. So he's got 387 across his career, and he's only been in the league now. This is his 8th season.
Yes, actually, I would say this is 9th. Well, actually, yeah, you're right, because he got drafted in 2016, because you were at that draft when he was there.
Yeah.
So
it is actually his 9th season. So 387 goals, 299 assists across 595 games.
Well, for me, I think if you have a guy who can hit 60-plus goals twice now, and is not even in his 30s yet, that to me is legit. Because I'm at that point now where I think if Austin Matthews scores 40-plus goals, 50-plus goals per year from now to the end of his career, I could definitely see him catching up to Ovechkin or Gretzky.
Right. And especially if he pops off like multiple 40-plus goal seasons, you're going to get there.
There's no doubt about that in my mind.
Yeah.
As far as that comparison.
Yeah. In fact, what I'm going to do, let's see what his his average per year is. So if you round up all the seasons and average it out, he's averaging 43 goals a year.
That's pretty fucking good.
Right. So even let's say, so he's got 387 right now. So if he's, so 387, if he gets like 43 goals by the end of this year, he'd be at 430. Another 43 at 473. So that would take him to season 11. Season 12, he'd be at 516. Let's see. Season 13, 559. 602. Season 17, he'd be at 731. 774 season 18. 817 in season 19. 860 in season 20. He'd be at 903 in season 21. So literally, if he keeps up at least 43 goals a year, he'd have to play 21 seasons to hit 900.
I mean, on that, no, that would be pretty damn good on his end. And guess
Right.
what? It's definitely, I mean, I hate Austin Matthews. He's
Oh,
just
yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
But also because he plays for the Leafs. That's the big thing.
Right.
But I genuinely do think that he definitely can surpass Gretzky and Ovechkin when it comes down to it, honestly.
He could. It would either be him or McDavid. Those are the only two I could see potentially coming close. Although it was hilarious, McDavid got ejected the other night.
Well,
got game misconduct.
Well, that's kind of his own damn fault, isn't it?
Yeah, good old brawl. So
Well, let's see Connor McDavid's statistics, because I think Connor McDavid literally fills up this category. So while I'm doing the research for his stat sheet, I actually started putting together the episode of Road to 32 on my trip yesterday to Madison Square Garden for the New York Rangers.
nice. All right, so this is where he's at. So across 688 games that McJesus has been in, 355 goals, 692 assists for 1,047 points, and he is a plus 163 across his career.
Pretty good. He's
Yeah.
at 355 in terms of total goals. And Austin Matthews has like 32 more goals in his career than McDavid.
Yeah. And here's the thing. McDavid has only hit 40 plus goals. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 times in his career.
Well, he's definitely capable of doing it. But he did have 64 goals in 2022-23, where
Right.
he played all 82 games and he had 89 assists for 153 points. And that was the best season to date at that time.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, I think he won the Hart Trophy for league MVP.
Yeah, and literally otherwise, let's see, his first season he had 16 goals, then he followed up with 30, then he had 2 straight seasons of 41. 2019-2020 he had 34, then he had 33 in 2020 in the 21 season. 44 goals in 21-22, 64 in 22-23, 23-24 he had 32, and then this year so far he's had 20. So I mean, I don't think McDavid hits the record. I think Matthews has a much better shot at hitting it versus McDavid.
All right, let me ask you this one then. What about someone, and this is way too early, so please do not go crazy on this one. What about Connor Bedard? What do you think?
That's a tough one. I mean, for him, it sucks in the sense that he has no team around him still. I mean, and he's only had 35 goals in 115 games.
And it's only year 2 for him.
Right. I mean, he did score 22 his first season. He's had 13 so far this year.
Like, he's such a gifted player, and he's the most
Yeah.
hyped player since McDavid, but it's like, the dude has no talent around him.
Right. That's the problem. It's like he's got absolutely nobody surrounding him that he can't feed off of, and that's a huge problem. And Chicago is not building around him to use his assets. And on top of it, I mean, his numbers show it. I mean, he's a minus 64 in his career so far. He was a minus 44 his first season, a minus 20 this season so far. And yet, when you look at some of his stats, his faceoff percentage actually went backwards this year. He's only winning 32% of the time versus 39 in this first season. So it's, I mean, in his time on the ice is about the same. I mean, it's only 6 seconds more this year than it was last year. But at the same time, it's like, you got to get players around him, and he's just not doing it.
Yeah, no, this is a big issue because based on what you're telling me, it sounds like he's slowly regressing.
Right. Now, if you were to now here's an interesting take. Throw Connor Bedard on the Sabres. He would probably be performing a lot better being around Thompson and some of the players we have.
I don't know. How about someone? See, I don't know. Like, what if you put him in like San Jose? I mean, granted, they have Macklin Celebrini, who, in my honest opinion, I think is better than Bedard.
He realistically could be, and even let's see what he's got so far this year.
It's just crazy how this kid is so good, in my opinion. He's only a rookie, Macklin Celebrini.
Right, and with what he's got so far, let's see his stats.
Okay, Macklin Celebrini, I got it right here. In his first season, he's played in 38 games, has 14 goals and 20 assists, and he's a minus 17 with 34 points.
Okay, so even thinking about that with the games played and the goals that he has, he's still on pace to beat Bedard's first season.
Which is nuts.
Right. And his plus minus is better already on top of it.
Well, like Bedard, he doesn't really have a team around him.
Right. But it makes me wonder, though, is he the smarter player in terms of his opportunities versus Bedard?
Oh, it's very possible.
Right. I mean, it'll be like, if you look at that generation, people are going to compare Bedard and Celebrini. Kind of like how people compare Ovi and Crosby with getting
Or McDavid and Eichel.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, and don't get me started. Eichel's already got a cup.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, fuck me, right?
Jesus Christ.
God.
Yeah, arrogant prick, but he is a good player, though.
Yes, he is, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, good job, Terry. You had one fucking job, and that was to keep him. But
And
it
piss him
actually...
off.
Yeah, exactly. Except then it's like it was going to be a cancer in the locker room, so...
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
But onto the top of hand is like Ovechkin will definitely break this record, but it's just when it happens. It's not a
Right.
guarantee. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. I mean, it could be by the end of the regular season. It could be very early next season. But if he continues to get at least 2 goals a game for most nights, he's going to be fine. He'll do it.
Hell, even if he gets a hat trick per night, which would be crazy to do, but
Yeah.
it has
could,
happened.
It could very well happen. And he's already done that this season, getting hat tricks, so...
Trust me, it's gonna be an easy smoothing path for him. Because I think if you're that talented at this stage of your career, and you're on the verge of breaking Wayne Gretzky's record,
Mhm.
that is a huge accomplishment.
It is. It is. Easily Hall of Fame material.
Yeah, but do I think he's the greatest player of all time? Absolutely not. Gretzky definitely is better statistically than Ovechkin. But
Right.
Ovechkin, okay, so Gretzky has the hardware, he has the stats, he has the sheets, and all that stuff. But he doesn't have, like, Ovi doesn't have what Gretzky had. The
Right.
only thing that Ovechkin will have is the goal scoring record. That's it.
Yeah. And his durability is better.
Oh, by far. By
Yeah.
far.
By far. I mean, he had more seasons, so yes, it took him longer to get there, but at the same time, he was able to play more games, and so he'll go down as having some of the highest number of played games ever in history. He'll go down as having the goal scoring history, and at least he has a cup.
Yes. That is definitely something that he'll forever cherish.
Yes. So seeing we talked about that, and we're actually we're only about 20 minutes away from hitting the 90-minute mark, but let's jump into some of the other hockey stuff. So one of the big things, obviously, Utah, they still don't know what they're going to call themselves.
Honestly, I don't even know what they're going to be called. So supposedly there was a report that came out from Ryan Miller, who I believe covers the Utah Jazz for the time being, but he's also covering the Utah No Names. And he said the Utah Yeti's trademark application has been refused due to a, quote, likelihood of confusion.
Really?
What the fuck is the likelihood of confusion? Like, what is there to be confused
What,
about?
what are they going to do? Confuse a hockey team with something else? I mean, come on.
Well, the only thing I can think of is the confusion of the hockey team and then the cup company that makes the hardware cups or whatever, the Yeti
Come
company,
on.
the cooling company, whatever they are. I don't know.
Really?
I mean, this could very well be a minor comparison, but I feel that this could be a thing that can be worked out. It's just a
Yeah,
matter
it
of
probably
time.
could. It probably could. But that being said, the Stadium Series uniforms have officially come out.
Oh my god, did you see them?
Yeah.
Oh my god, those uniforms are amazing. I love it. Like I'll start with Columbus. Columbus literally did the best thing they could, which was to put the cannon back on their
Yep.
jersey.
Yep. They're known for it.
Without a doubt. I love that jersey design. Specifically with the cannon, it looks great.
Yep.
And for me, I feel like the Blue Jackets jersey that they're gonna be wearing, I feel like it could be used as an alternate jersey.
It realistically could. I mean, it actually is a good jersey.
Definitely. And then the Red Wings. Okay, the Red Wings, pretty straightforward. You can't really do much based on what they have
Yeah.
in their history, but they did something different for once, which was they put the word Detroit like almost like a Coca-Cola theme. I love
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
but I think go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, it's nice. It is something different. It looks good. I mean, actually, both jerseys look good.
Yeah, my favorite thing about the Red Wings jerseys, or just the uniform in general, is the helmet.
Hmm.
I love the helmet on the players because you can literally see the Red Wing going across. It reminds me of a way, like it reminds me of the Philadelphia Eagles with their helmet with the wingspan.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, good job. I mean, it looks good. And they actually did a good design for a change. Because we've seen some shit uniforms for the Stadium Series.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah. So, good to see that. And the NHL apparently wants to get bigger again.
Yes. So Kevin Weeks actually reported this story not that long ago, and he got a call recently saying that the NHL is preparing for expansion. I know, that sounds crazy, right? So Kevin Weeks said that many cities remain interested, and he was told that both metropolitan Atlanta and Houston are emerging and progressing on their paths towards a potential expansion, and he anticipates in the new collective bargaining agreement may have to sign first. The league revenue is projected to be between 6.5 to $7 billion this coming year. So
Ooh, that's a lot of money.
it is a lot of money, and I think that's the most the NHL has ever made ever.
Yeah, it definitely is there. If not, it's like one of the top 3 seasons. But I almost want to say, why does Atlanta get a third crack at this?
Why again? We've talked about this over time again and again and again. Why is Quebec City not being looked at? All right, because Buttman doesn't like Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, unless you're Donald Trump, who decides to annex the fucking country, then maybe, then we get the Quebec
Right.
I promise you guys, we're gonna annex Canada. It's gonna be the greatest country in the world. Mark my words. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh my lord.
I love
Yeah,
that guy.
that would be one way to do it. But it's like, come on, Atlanta really. Ugh. But Houston, I could definitely see making a pretty decent play for it, and they did do some renovations in the Toyota Center, which is the big arena down there, and I mean, they have the capability. I mean, they have ice like ready to go in that building, and they have had AHL games in there before with the Comets, so it is something where hockey did do well with them. Some of the renovations that took place in the actually the last 2 seasons, I mean, brand new scoreboard, they have brand new ribbon boards and all that stuff. They upgraded all of their things. Easily one of the biggest boards in the league now for the NBA. But they do have good fan bases, and they have done well with hockey. And I could see Houston being a pretty decent place. But instead of Atlanta, Quebec City, and here's a stat. And this is a pretty telling stat. So you know how the Professional Women's Hockey League came back, right? And they
Yes.
ended up reorganizing.
Yeah,
So,
the PWHL.
yeah. They sold out the Videotron Center in Quebec City, which is where the NHL team would play. That's the NHL ready building. Almost 18,000 fans for women's hockey.
I mean, that alone is a really embarrassing stat. The NHL should stop putting their heads up their ass. Do what you did to Utah. You moved the Coyotes. It's bad enough that we talked about this last week on the show, where the Coyotes might end up coming back because of the new politicians that are in Arizona trying to push this idea.
Right.
And now they're talking about not even thinking about entertaining the idea of Quebec, unless, like I said, President Trump literally annexes Canada and turns it into a state. Then that's probably the only fucking way we're gonna get Quebec
Right,
City.
or make it a U.S. territory or something. But think about it. They sell out for women's hockey, almost 18,000 in that building. They sell out for the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, almost 18,000 in that building for kids under 18 that are playing.
Which is embarrassing.
Right. And think about it this way. Those two things alone are more attendance than what the Arizona Coyotes had before they moved.
Yep, and all it takes was one stubborn old fuck who is way, way, way past his expiration date for being the commissioner.
Exactly.
But I think in Bettman's defense, he has done a good job decently with expansion of certain markets. But I feel like he's done a very poor job in marketing the league itself because not many people are watching NHL games like they're supposed to. Because again, if you look at the NFL, if you look at the NBA, those are big marketing leagues. The NHL puts very little out there, and people will
Right.
say, "Oh shit, I didn't know that game was being played." Like the Winter Classic was a perfect example. You
Yeah.
hardly saw any advertisements in the NHL about the Winter Classic this year because they were afraid to get blown out of the water
Yeah.
in terms of money by college football.
Yeah, and and by the way, congrats to Ohio State for winning the national championship. But then at the same time, I mean, when you have the Winter Classic on New Year's Eve, which is never when you want to have that game, you want to have it on New Year's Day, which is where it's supposed to be. You just killed your big game of the year.
Quite frankly. Holy shit.
Yeah, that is just brutal.
Like, I don't understand this. It's like you're not willing to put the Quebec Nordiques back to life, but you're willing to bring back fucking Atlanta for the third time. And then, okay, Houston would be interesting because there has never been an NHL team in Houston to begin with.
Right.
So that would make things. The big thing about Houston is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Gordie Howe play for the Houston Aeros in the 80s?
I think he did. At least had a short stint.
And if I'm and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Houston Aeros were an AHL team and a WHA team.
Yeah, they were. They were.
That explains it.
Yeah. And Houston at least has some history, but I mean, Atlanta? I mean, good Lord. You lose one team to Calgary. You lose the second team to basically Winnipeg. And now
And
you
then-
want to bring a third team back?
Yeah, and it's like, hello, you lost your stadium bet.
Right.
Oh, God. These people will not learn.
No, they won't. And that's the problem. They just don't care.
No, they don't. It's like they're forcing a market down our throats that hardly anybody gives two shits about. It's like, why do you expect us to care about the Coyotes again when they were playing at a 5,000 Z college hockey rate within their last 3 years?
Right. And even then, it's like, oh, yeah, we're selling out. We're getting all these people. You're getting nobody. You're not making any money in a 5,000 seat arena.
Yeah, and you know what, too? The NHL was losing tens of millions of dollars per year, if not per day, just from the Coyotes.
They were. They had to literally subsidize the team. And that's not a way that you can be effective when it comes to that. It just doesn't work. And then, of course, then you had that emergency, oh, yeah, we have to move the team automatically because of the fact that they can't survive here. I mean, come on. It's like you knew it was bad. It still is bad. Just give it up already.
Yeah, Bettman's not giving up on that market anytime soon. But it's bad enough that he was forced to sell the team to fucking Utah. Now, I've wanted an NHL team in Utah for many, many years.
Right.
But I think for them to finally get a team really is just refreshing. You know what I mean?
It is, and they have fan support. That's the difference.
Absolutely.
They have a ton of support with that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and they're investing in the Delta Center, their arena. They're going to rebuild the lower bowl, so this way it's going to accommodate both hockey and basketball. So they're putting the effort in, and by the time that those renovations are done over the next year or two, I mean, they're going to have easily about 18,000 that can fit for hockey. But that team, literally, that fan base in Salt Lake City, they sold out of season tickets within hours of having
Oh,
that
yeah.
announcement. I mean, and they had more support than Arizona has ever had.
Like, I put it like this. Remember when the NHL first expanded like 30 years ago
Mm-hmm.
in Florida with the
Yeah.
Lightning and the Panthers, and we all laughed at how fucking stupid that was?
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it from this retrospective, the Panthers were a laughing stock for many, many years, and
They were.
just like the Coyotes before them, they were losing 10 figures per day, maybe 6 figures per day, just
Mhm.
because people were desperate to sell tickets and have people go to the games.
Right.
Now, fast forward, they won the Stanley Cup. They have a great fan base. They're
Mhm.
getting better, and they're a consistent playoff team now. And you can't fuck with Florida. They're a very good team.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, yes, they have gotten better. I mean, it's still, I don't think it's exactly the best market, like especially with the Florida Panthers, but at the same time, they have built up some support. I mean, and you've been there. You've seen a game in that building, which I think it's called Amerant Bank Arena now after they just
Yeah,
renamed
Emin Wright
it.
Bank Arena. Yes, I went to that building, and I went to that building 3 months before they won the cup, maybe four, because I was there in March of
Mhm.
2024, and they won the cup that June. So 3 and 4 months, separating each other from the time frame I went.
Mhm.
So I was in that building, and they were just rocking the house. It was not my favorite stadium, but the fans were supportive, and it didn't sell out, but it was still enough where a lot of people who lived in New York
Mhm.
moved down to South Beach.
Yeah.
So people gave it the support.
Yeah, they did, and they're doing a lot better than they have in the past. And plus, I mean, with them actually building up their roster, I mean that's a huge help in itself. So they're doing some good things down there, and it's just a matter of time. But seriously, if Bettman were to actually watch this, which I don't think he will, but if he were to actually watch it, do us a favor, restart the Battle of Quebec, put a team back in Quebec City. I don't give two shits about your argument about the Canadian dollar. Just do it.
It's
And all the fans will be happy.
like, what's it gonna take for him to get this through? That's what I don't understand. You're willing to bring back the Winnipeg Jets because you had a buyer at the time. I don't. And you know what? Crazy enough, I didn't think he wanted to bring them back to begin with.
I don't think he did either. They just ponied up a crap ton of money.
Well, Mark Chipman came out of nowhere and said, "We'll take money." But even in that situation, that's pretty bad because Winnipeg, they're the smallest market of any team in the league, and they might be relocating again because nobody really goes to Winnipeg, Manitoba, especially in the middle of winter.
Yeah, which that is going to be an interesting thing to watch just to see how everything plays out. But
I feel bad for them because I think that, it's bad enough you already lost the team and you
Mhm.
currently have it, and then you
Right.
might potentially lose it again because of attendance. How about just lower the ticket prices?
yeah, realistically, make it more affordable for the people to go there because they are the smallest market out of any NHL team.
Yeah, like I understand that it's Canada, it's a big market in Winnipeg, but you have to remember something. Canadian markets sell out
They
bigly.
do. They do. They love their sport.
Yeah, look at the Leafs, look at the Canadians. Hell, look
Mhm.
at us with the Canucks.
Yeah, look at Ottawa. Yeah, hell, and like you're talking about, we actually saw a game in Rogers Arena back in October.
Yeah, and we saw the Kraken in Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle.
Yeah, and I will say the Kraken with Climate Pledge Arena easily one of the best NHL arenas out there. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
the
for
way
sure.
that they redid that building, great. Rogers Arena, that was a nice hockey atmosphere. And now the seating wasn't as good as what we had at Climate Pledge, but I will say the atmosphere and the fans, they love their team up there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's a Canadian market. They love the Canucks.
Yeah, 100%. And definitely that is a fun place to watch a team. So I will tell you that. But since we're coming up towards the close of the show, let's hit some baseball real quick. So we got a couple things. Obviously, the Baseball Hall of Fame is a big thing. And there are a couple new players that are getting inducted.
Yes, indeed. Long overdue is former Mets closer Billy Wagner. He's one of them. Billy Wagner is finally going to Cooperstown. And then you have Ichiro Suzuki.
First Japanese.
Sabathia.
Yep. Suzuki, first Japanese player to ever be inducted.
You know what? I have something to say about Ichiro. Not Ichiro himself, but the way the Hall of Fame voting system works. Ichiro got denied by one vote as a first ballot Hall of Famer because some degenerate loser that thought it was a good idea to put down the one vote and thought it was funny and played the fiddle doing it. And Ichiro, yes, he's going to the Hall of Fame, but CC Sabathia got a unanimous amount of votes into the Hall of Fame. Ichiro got denied as a first ballot Hall of Famer by one vote. One.
Because one wanted to be a dumbass.
Exactly. It was an attention-seeking whore, is basically what's happening here. It's like, how can you do that to Ichiro?
Right.
Ichiro's a fucking legend, dude.
Yeah, he earned his spot.
Funny enough, I'm seeing the Mariners in May.
Yeah, there we go. That is true. Yeah, you're going to be out there, which we may be bringing some former co-hosts back for the time that you're gone. So we've got a couple things in mind with that to have them come back and guest for a week or two. So there's
maybe
that.
Yeah, including coming up February 3rd. I'll be out of the country.
Yeah. So keep it here. We'll surprise everyone with some co-hosts, but it's gonna be that'll be interesting, and hey, it'll be a well-deserved trip there. But yeah, good for Ichiro getting in finally, and then of course with Wagner as well. But then we've got some other deals that are coming up, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to the Mets is potentially heating up again.
Oh yeah, you see the story that's going on behind this?
So I didn't have a chance to take a look at it too much this week, but I know with Guerrero, I mean, he had the arbitration deal with the Blue Jays, but there's some tension there, and he may want out.
Yes. So here's the big thing that came out. Vladdy Jr. got offered $400 million for, I think, 10 years by the Blue Jays. And he outright said, no, I will not play for the Toronto Blue Jays. I will not sign that contract. Because the Jays are going into a rebuild, and he's 25. So whoever gets him, they're going to have him for a very long time. And apparently, the New York Mets are the only team right now that want Vlad Guerrero Jr. And they're willing to pay a ransom to get him, if you will. It's pretty insane. So the offer that I heard, for once to say the least, is the Mets would be willing to offer Jet Williams, Ryan Clifford, Luis Angel Acuna, that's Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother, and Nolan McLean to the Blue Jays for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Wow.
So that right there, you're trading at least 3 of your top prospects in the top 100.
Yeah. And we all know one thing, the Mets are not afraid to hit the luxury tax.
Well, especially now with Uncle Steve in there.
Yeah.
But there was a thing that came out from, according to Mike Rodriguez, who supposedly is an insider for the Mets, and he said that the Mets, at the time of this recording, are putting together a package present deal to the Blue Jays for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., as I was just listing a handful of players. So the question is, does it happen? I don't know. But the only reason why I think this happens is because it's become abundantly clear that the Mets are not bringing back Pete Alonso.
Right. And Alonso will be able to sign wherever. So, and honestly, if the Mets were to grab Vlad Jr., that's an upgrade over Alonso, anyways.
Well, yeah. If think of it like this, you would have Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, Juan Soto, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, you've instantly upgraded your top half.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of upgrading the top half, fuck the Dodgers. Fuck the Dodgers.
Oh,
no, really,
man.
Fuck them. Because how is it
Ooh,
that
the luxury tax keeps growing.
Quite literally, how is it that they can afford Roki Suzuki, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates? How are they doing this, Tom?
Right.
Can you explain this?
And Ohtani on top of it.
And they have Freddie Freeman. You know what? And Will Smith. Go fuck
Oh.
yourself.
Oh man, their luxury tax is alive and well.
God fucking damn it. They're going to be the Kansas City Chiefs of baseball. Watch.
Oh man, that is
God
great.
damn it.
Tell us how you really feel about the Dodgers.
Fuck the Dodgers. Fuck them.
Oh man. Oh, this is great. This is easily one of our funniest moments this season. Your rant on the Dodgers.
Fuck those guys.
Oh,
Fuck them in the
man.
ass. How is it that you have 4 fucking pitchers that are all Japanese that can toss me fucking sushi that all play on the fucking Dodgers?
Oh man. Oh, that's great.
I don't get it. Hey, it's Shohei. Hey, it's Yoshinobu. Hey, it's okay. Dee-da-dee-dee-dee-da-dee-da. God
Oh,
damn it.
that is great. That is great. Oh man. And then think about it. Tim Anderson goes to the Halos.
Tim Anderson, poor guy. The only reason he's at the Angels is because he couldn't go to the fucking Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. But then
But see, go ahead. I'm sorry, but
yeah, no. Go on with your point.
I was gonna say, how the fuck can the Dodgers of all teams in baseball? Oh, that's right. There's no salary cap at all. There's a luxury tax. Yeah, and the Dodgers go on a fucking massive spending spree.
Yep.
You just won the World Series 4 months ago, and now you want to shove it up our ass and pull out the prostate. And by
Yes, they
saying-
do.
They generally, I swear to God, Tom, they want to be the Chiefs of baseball. They are really asking for other teams to fucking hate them.
Yep. Oh man. Now
I've never-
if we can get Uncle Steve to start spending that much money, which he's already started spending, but
He did.
yeah.
I mean, they did get AJ Minter, which is nice.
Right, yeah, it's a good pickup. But yeah, if he were to start spending as much as the Dodgers are, holy crap.
Oh, speaking of holy crap, did you hear that the Mets are unveiling a new road jersey on Saturday?
Yeah, that is coming out.
Yep, they're doing it during the Amazing Day event at Citi Field. And I saw, apparently, I don't know how true it is, and I'm not going to declare that it's real because I really don't know. But there's a picture that got leaked online from MLB.com, and I don't know about you,
Mm-hmm.
but the new road jersey that supposedly got leaked, it looks like the top pair for a fucking pair of pajamas.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so if you want to know, the jersey, in my retrospective, it's a blue jersey. It's a royal blue jersey like the Mets currently have.
Mm-hmm.
And the writing says New York, but it's in script with a blue insiding and an orange outline, an orange collar, orange sleeves, and has the Mets patch on the logo.
Oh, Jesus. Good
But the
job,
question is-
Mets.
But the question is, I don't even know if that's a real thing. Maybe they have a newer design, and that might have just got leaked. I really have no idea. So
Yeah.
the Mets are abandoning the classic gray uniform for a blue road jersey, supposedly.
Well, on top of that, they're getting a Netflix docuseries too.
Yes, that is also too. And it's not just any docuseries, mind you, on Netflix. It's also going to be about the 1986 World Series team.
There you go.
Yep, right here. So the New York Mets are going to be getting a Netflix series, that's a docuseries, about the iconic New York Mets slated premiere in 2025, not 1986. So they're making a docuseries about the Mets this year. And the series, which is still untitled, promises to provide an in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at the storied baseball franchise, blending the highs, lows, and raw moments of a team that has captured the hearts of fans for 6 decades.
There we go. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for it for when it comes out, and it would definitely be some interesting watching, to say the least.
Quite literally.
Yeah. But that being said, we're at the top of the hour, so we did our 90 minutes like we've been doing as of late. But I was gonna say, were there any other things we wanted to talk about before we wrap up for the night?
Well, there is one more thing I do want to ask, and then I promise we're
Okay.
done. Is because I never got an answer from you.
Yeah.
Who do you have going to the Super Bowl?
I would say, thinking about the matchup a little bit more, I'm going to go Bills and the Commanders.
Bills and Commanders?
Yep.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
going with the Bills and the Eagles.
All right. Good matchup
That's
either way.
that's realistically like how I think. But it is funny that you mentioned Washington because I did read a stat recently. Within the last 20 years, every losing quarterback, aside from Mahomes and Brady
Hmm.
and Peyton Manning, all the other quarterbacks that were in the Super Bowl never go back.
Yeah, and that's an interesting stat. So if everything goes as well as we hope, hopefully we will have the Bills in the Super Bowl. And hopefully they will take out the Chiefs because unless you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan or a Swiftie, which nobody gives a shit about, everyone does not want the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. So that's just how it is. Hate to break it to you guys.
So, bottom line, we're hoping the Bills could do it, and we're both confident they could do it. Um, Ovi is probably going to end up breaking Gretzky's record.
Yep.
And by the way, fuck the Dodgers.
Well, fuck the Dolphins and fuck Tyler Tarabocia.
Oh, God. You know, we should ask him if he was up for an interview.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, I'll ask him.
Oh, God. Do I want to even see him? I already rip him a new ass on his site anyways.
Well, we already ripped ass,
Ugh.
so you may as well.
Yeah, that's all we need, a delusional Dolphins fan. But then we would expose him anyways. So
Well,
there
good
is
luck
always
doing
that. But I just love making fun of him when I see his stupid stuff on his site.
It drives you nuts, huh?
Yeah, he is nuts. Although it was hilarious, he actually did have a Bills shirt on, which he claimed to never support the Bills, but he actually had a Bills shirt on during one of his little short takes.
Yeah, I think it's for a skit, but I think he just forgot that he had it, so he said, fuck it, I'm just going to put it on.
Yeah. And then he shits on the Bills while wearing the actual Bills shirt.
Yeah, that's never going to change.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, if he is watching by some chance, yeah, we don't give a crap about you. That's how that is. So,
Quite frankly.
yeah. But, no, otherwise, I didn't really have too much else. Just, keep it here. We're going to start, of course, getting into more of the playoff coverage. So as we have that'll happen, obviously. But anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
That's it, I promise.
All right. So, of course, everyone who had a chance to take a watch in the show, we appreciate it as always. And of course, if you want to catch previous episodes, go to YouTube or Spotify. We do have the episodes uploading there. And in the meantime, as always, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.